Hey there! In today's video, I'm going to review the Nike Vaporfly 3. I'm going to show some clips of me running around in them. I'm going to put them on the turntable and list their specifications. I'm going to review them, and finally, I'm going to see if I can recommend them. I'm making this video because I have the Alphafly and the Alpafly 2 and a number of other carbon plate racing shoes. So when Nike released the Vaporfly 2, I was really keen to get it, and in this video I'm going to do an initial review. There's chapter markers down below, so you can skip on through to the bits you might be interested in. Let's get going. Usually when I review a shoe, I put a dedicated piece in of me running in them. I haven't done that this time, mainly due to rain, so I've got some clips of me running in them that I'll intersperse throughout this video, and maybe that's a better way of doing it. You can pop some comments below if you think it is. Let's put the shoe on the turntable and review their specifications. Nike say that the Vaporfly weighs 165 grams, 5.82 ounces in a women's size 8, and 200 grams, 7.05 ounces in a men's size 10. This shoe is a US men's 13, EU 47.5, UK 12, CM 31, BR 46. In this size, it weighs in the left shoe 242 grams, 8.54 ounces, and in the right shoe 243 grams, 8.57 ounces. It has a 40mm stack height. It has an 8mm drop. Nike say this about the Vaporfly 3: race day speed to conquer any distance. Key updates include a smoother transition, improved stability, and more energy return in the Vaporfly 3's lightweight design. New design details include a reductive ZoomX midsole geometry and Flyknit yarn upper. A new thin outsole rubber is designed to use less material without sacrificing durability, whilst also reducing outsole weight and thickness. The reduced outsole rubber allows for extra millimeters of ZoomX foam underfoot for a smoother transition. Let's review the shoe and see if what Nike says is true. The upper is very lightweight and full of holes. I'll stick the light in it and you can look around. You might see some of the perforations in greater detail. But yeah, it's a very lightweight upper on the Vaporfly 3. The upper in many ways reminds me of the Invincible 3, and not really in a good way. It's got the same harshness around the edge of where your foot goes in. It's also a Flyknit. I much prefer, and I find this softer, is it's called the Atom Knit on the, I think it's a type of Flyknit, but they refer to it as Atom Knit on the Alphafly 2s. I actually really prefer this. It's much softer. I find the upper on this is kind of harsh, and yeah, I can't say I really like it. A lot of the things I don't like about the upper roll down to the laces. The laces, in some ways, they're the same as those in the Asics Metaspeed Sky Plus, with the sort of, they're flat with sort of ridges at the edges to stop the laces pulling apart. And that works. It works on the Metaspeed Sky Plus, it works on the Alphafly 2. But here, they've done the same thing they've done in the Invincibles, is where they're pulling through square or rectangular slots, and it's actually quite hard to pull. If you're in the Metaspeed Sky, these are through round holes, relatively easy. Now, when you're running a marathon, it's not a particularly big deal. You lace up and away you go. But I did find in the run yesterday that it was hard to get the upper to fit really well on my foot. The tongue on the shoe is very odd. There's a sort of flap here that sort of flaps up into the air. I found it really strange. You can see clips of me running in it, but it sort of just goes quite high and wide on my foot for no apparent reason. I mean, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't do anything, but it just seems like excess material that isn't needed. Nike say that the laces loop through lightweight side supports that eliminate the need for an arch band that helps reduce the shoe's weight, and all that's really well, but they just don't. Putting the shoe on is not as comfortable as many other shoes, and in particular this, the Nike Streakfly. This has a lightweight upper, and this pulls through really nicely. The laces pull through. This is, for me, a much better, easier shoe to put on, and one I much prefer. I also like more the upper on the Alphafly 2. It is a struggle to get it on. It's got a booty construction and it takes a bit of time to get on, but once it's on, it is really much more comfortable. The heel on the shoe goes up quite high. It's got the same padded piece that is in the Alphafly 2 and also in the Streakfly, and again I found it hard to wrap in, perhaps because there were so many comments on the Invincibles about heel lock. I actually found that much harder than in other shoes, and when the shoe was on I thought, well, I could probably go a half size down, but it felt narrow in the toe box, so I kept it the same, my usual size, but yeah, I just found it a little bit harder to fit on fully on my foot. The midsole is ZoomX with a carbon plate within it, and in some ways it's more similar in concept to the Metaspeed Sky Plus, which also has a carbon plate within it, without being similar to the Alphafly 2 with its zoom pods and much more complicated innards. I am going to try and do a video comparing in detail the Alphafly 2 with the Vaporfly 3 and try and do some performance testing to try and evaluate why they're so different and which are the advantages and disadvantages of each shoe. In terms of the outsole, well, the front is similar to the Invincible 3. It's got a sort of waffle pattern and you can see through to the foam. It's very similar in some ways to the Metaspeed Sky Plus, both in terms of the shape, size. The Metaspeed Sky has a black piece, an outsole that goes all the way back, whereas in the Vaporfly 3, there's just two pieces at the back. You'll see it in much better detail if you look at if you slow down the video from the turntable, but it's very different. If you compare the Alphafly, so this is the base of the Alphafly, it's much wider at the back and it's much wider at the front. And again, I'll do that in more detail in a subsequent video. All that chunky foam in the Alphafly 2 leads to a very different weight. This Vaporfly is 242 grams or 8.54 ounces. That's very similar to the Metaspeed Sky Plus, which is 249 grams or 8.8 ounces in this shoe in the same size. And the Alphafly comes in about 60 grams heavier. It's 308 grams versus 10.85 ounces. And all that weight means that the shoe performs very differently to the Vaporfly. Nike put some really useful information down here for a geeky person like me. It says the ZoomX is 87.2 grams, the rubber is 28.5 grams, and the fly plate is 23 grams. Now, I wondered to myself, did that vary depending on the size? So I'll show you a Nike image here from the press release, and I'll zoom in so you don't have to. And yes, it's different on that size shoe where it's 75.8 grams, 25.1 grams, and 21 grams. So that gives us some useful data. My shoe weighs 242 grams or 8.54 ounces, which translates when you add up all the various bits into 138.7 grams or 4.89 ounces in the base and 103.3 grams or 3.64 ounces in the upper. So 42.7% of the weight of the shoe is in the upper. I would love to have all those statistics on all the shoes, but it is of interest. In terms of design, it doesn't do a huge amount for me. I mean, I don't mind it, it's inoffensive. It's not as fluid as the Vaporfly 2, which had really nice curves and really curved at the end. There's some odd mix of angles, a sort of angular piece and a curved piece, and there's lots of just odd things going on. But yeah, I suppose I preferred the original. There was only one color available at launch, this white, phantom, pure platinum, and black. It comes with prototype markings, believe it or not. It looks like it's written on a Sharpie, it's not, there's some numbers. And then there's version 57, apparently they tried 56 other different uppers before they settled on this one. Makes me wonder how bad the other 56 could have been. But there's also a strange colorway on the inner flank here, so maybe when different colors come out, that'll be picked out differently. But I really do like this orange viewing, it's picked out in orange, but this little viewing box into the carbon plate. Okay, so enough technical stuff. What's the running feel like? Well, first thing I do was I put the shoes on and walked around the house a lot. They felt immediately very different to lots of other shoes, but I've been running a lot in the Invincible 3s and the Asics Gel Nimbus 25s, which are very different types of shoes. So I suppose they were bound to feel different. But I walked around the house trying on off all the different carbon plate shoes. Then I ran 10K in them yesterday doing some filming, and then I did some strides. So 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off at pace, and I ran on a variety of different surfaces. So how did they feel? Well, they were light, they were fast, comfortable with lots of spring. The forefoot and the heel is softer than you'd get in the Metaspeed Sky Plus, but yeah, these immediately felt great. Much as I do not like the upper, yeah, the base of these, great. Like most of my carbon plate shoes, there isn't huge grip. I mean, I've cleaned these off after the running, but I'd really only run in the dry and not in 90-degree bends. Yeah, so probably pretty suitable for any dry marathon. So what is the use case? Well, 10k to marathon is the typical range. I will actually use them for park runs as well, try and test them at some stage against the streak fly and kind of make some comparisons at some stage. I expect they'll wear out fast. These are not particularly, they're not going to last very long in that area. Typically I'll do what I do with most marathon shoes. I'll run one marathon in them and then I'll turn them into strides and tempo days, because sooner or later another super shoe comes along. The shoe costs €259.99, 250 US dollars, £234 and 94 pence, and I couldn't find an Australian price at the moment. In fact, I couldn't find any shoes at the moment. I think the only shoe I saw left was a size 14 in the UK. So yeah, they sold out pretty quick. At $250 in the US, that's pretty competitive with all of the super fast carbon plate shoes. It's cheaper than the Alphafly, it's stablemate, but also the Vaporfly 2 and possibly the 1, they're still on lots of deals on Nike's website and on the app. Should you buy this shoe? Well, I think it should be definitely on your shortlist for a carbon plate racing shoe. I don't like the upper. I really do like the base, which is really the most important part of the running shoe. As long as it hangs on my foot, I'll be fine. I'm going to do some more performance testing in 2 weeks against the Alphafly and possibly some others, and I am going to run in Rotterdam. Well, it's the orange, isn't it? And yeah, I was going to run a marathon in it. That'll be an exhaustive test. I'll get lots of data, most of it useless. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, it would be great if you'd hit the like button. As always, there'll be lots of stuff down in the descriptions below, and I'll happily answer any questions you pop into the comments. There'll be a big blue subscribe button popping up there, and some red videos there. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, just keep running along.